If you thought that you could only spend your money on old works of art or rare unique items at auctions, you should rethink your image of auctions. While many rich people invest their money in normal things like paintings or old cars, we want to show you in this video 10 completely unbelievable things that were actually auctioned and will amaze you. We present you not only the private furniture of dictators and used items of celebrities, but also completely absurd things like air from certain events, which, by the way, went for insane prices over the auction table. It's going to be extremely crazy, so be sure to stay tuned here at Wonderlane. On number 10, we start directly with one of the most unusual items that someone prominent has probably ever seen on the auction table, and that is the hair of Britney Spears. It was not the singer herself who sold her hair for a good cause, but a sneaky auctioneer who wanted to make a big profit from what was perhaps the worst moment in Britney's career. In 2007, when the singer was completely disoriented in Los Angeles, fleeing from numerous paparazzi, pictures of her shaving off her hair with her own hands in a hair salon, apparently under the influence of certain substances, went around the world. Shortly after this scandal, Britney had to realize that the owner of the hair salon offered her shaved hair for auction on eBay, and there was actually someone who wanted to buy the hair for an incredible $1 million. Let's continue with a completely crazy item that was auctioned off at the beginning of 2021 and caused quite a stir. We're talking about a piece of furniture from arguably the worst dictator of all time, namely Adolf Hitler's toilet lid. While there are indeed many collectors of old items from the World War II era, this auction is particularly curious. Until recently, hardly anyone knew that this toilet lid even existed. For the past 86 years, it has been hidden in an attic in New Jersey, where the son of a soldier at the time had stored it. This soldier was one of the first people to see Hitler's private estate in Berchtesgaden after the fierce Allied bombing and the resulting surrender of Germany in 1945. There, he then seized the opportunity and took home a white oak toilet seat that came directly from Hitler's private bathroom. At the beginning of the year, the soldier's son then found the lid in his attic and decided to auction it off. Since then, this man is $18,750 richer. On number 8, we come to an auction that shows that there are some fans whose admiration for their idol apparently knows no bounds. In July of this year, an item appeared on eBay for which a fan was actually willing to pay a large amount of money. A small plastic bag filled with air from a Kanye West concert. This event, however, was not a real concert, but merely a short performance by Kanye West, during which he played song excerpts from his new album Donda over a laptop. Since Kanye West is one of the greatest artistic geniuses of all time for many of his fans, a visitor took the event as an opportunity to auction off a bag full of air. In the end, this bag was sold for several $1,000s, which meant that an anonymous fan can now call himself the proud owner of air from a Kanye West concert. Next, we come to the auction that not only attracted the most international attention in 2021, but also auctioned something that mankind has been dreaming about for decades: a private flight into space. The auctioneer was none other than Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men in the world. Besides Amazon, Bezos is also the boss of the space company Blue Origin, which has the long-term goal that everyone who wants to can fly into space. But before that can happen, the first Blue Origin flight took place in July of 2021, during which people who are not professional astronauts were also allowed to fly. In addition to Jeff Bezos and his brother, another seat in the capsule was therefore auctioned off online. There were 8,000 bidders, and in the end, an anonymous space fan won the ticket for an incredible $28 million. This fan had to cancel his participation in the end because an important appointment got in the way, which is why the ticket was passed on to an 18-year-old Dutchman who was allowed to take a seat right next to one of the most influential people in the world. We continue with an auction that was not only a curious experiment, but also one of the most discussed topics in the global music industry in 2015. Namely, the American hip-hop legends Wu-Tang Clan released a new album that was not given to streaming services or CD wholesalers, but was pressed on CD only once. This CD was then auctioned off online on the condition that the buyer either kept it for himself or put it on the internet for everyone to see for free. But the man who ended up buying the CD for $2 million was no stranger to the American public. It was the manager, Martin Shkreli, who is not only extremely hated in the USA because of dubious dealings with drugs, but is also in prison for embezzlement. Since Shkreli did not share the CD with the public as offered by the Wu-Tang Clan, but kept it for himself, he is now the owner of a unique CD that will probably never be heard by anyone except him. On number 5, we continue with an auction that is somewhat less scandalous, but at least as interesting for many fans. For many people, there is hardly anything better than to collect as many LEGO collections as possible, but there is one LEGO item that only one person owns, and that is the most expensive LEGO brick in the world. In 2012, a classic 2x4 brick in pure 14-karat gold surfaced on the internet, which turned out to have been made between 1979 and 1981 for exclusive LEGO business partners. When it landed on the internet 30 years later, an anonymous LEGO fan then didn't miss the opportunity to bid on what is probably the most exclusive LEGO brick of all time. On number 4, we continue with a work of art whose purchase has been hotly debated in the art world. While many people are already wondering how people can spend several million on a single painting, this question is even more difficult to answer in the case of the American Amy Davison. In 2011, Davison bought a work of art at auction that doesn't even exist. It is a work called Fresh Air, where the artist never painted a picture, but it exists only in his head. As if that wasn't absurd enough, Davison paid $10,000 just to be the new owner of this imaginary object. She herself commented that she bought the work because she considers this concept to be the future of art and accordingly wants to be part of a visionary concept. Shortly before that, she also auctioned off her own soul on eBay for $100. So many people insinuated that she was just a bit weird. Let's continue with the item of a celebrity, where one wonders what exactly the bidder actually wants to do with it. In 2008, actress Scarlett Johansson, who is most famous for movies like Iron Man or The Avengers, was a guest of American talk show legend Jay Leno when she had to blow her nose unplanned. Instead of throwing this handkerchief away, she put it in a plastic bag and posted it on eBay. She then donated all the money, over $5,300 raised from that auction, to an initiative that works to fight hunger. While the idea of bidding on a used handkerchief is not necessarily appetizing to many, in this case it led to something very positive. On number 2, we come to a young Ukrainian woman who not only auctioned off something that only existed once, but also something that led to a blatant controversy. Namely, it's about a 19-year-old woman named Katya who auctioned off her virginity for an unbelievable price through an escort service in 2020. She first had her virginity confirmed by a doctor before the escort service put her offer online. Immediately after the upload, the bids overflowed until a 58-year-old businessman from Munich finally prevailed. In the end, he paid 1.2 million euros to be the first person to be allowed to become intimate with Katya. Katya said following the auction that despite all the criticism, this was a profitable business for her, as she was able to finance a life of luxury at relatively little cost. Although it is unknown what happened after her night with the highest bidder, and whether they stayed together afterwards, since Katya wrote that she would like to explore the world with the money, one can assume that she has been traveling the world since. And last but not least, number 1 now brings us to an incredibly exciting historical document that changed hands for a record-breaking sum in 2017. It concerns the following words, which became world famous in 1922. "A quiet life gives more happiness than successful striving combined with constant restlessness." These 13 simple words were written by none other than perhaps the greatest scientist of all time, namely Albert Einstein. Einstein was invited to a conference in Tokyo in 1922 when he ran into an awkward situation in front of a hotel doorman. Einstein had no cash on him and could not tip the porter accordingly. So instead, he wrote these words on a small piece of paper, which later went down in the history books as the formula for happiness. An incredible 95 years later, this lucky formula then appeared out of nowhere at an auction in Jerusalem and was sold to an anonymous buyer for over $1.5 million. And that's it for our video and 10 incredible things that were actually auctioned off. Write us in the comments what you would have liked to buy. Otherwise, like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to Wonderlane for more exciting videos, and we'll see you next time, here at Wonderlane.